The first thing an Inuit boy learned about hunting was not the seal, it was himself. Before he was ever handed a harpoon, before he was allowed to kneel beside the ice and take a life, he had to fail, again and again, until he stopped trusting the one thing every child trusts most, his own eyes. Because out here, the eyes lie. They see flat white where there is a hidden world. They see emptiness where there is movement, and a boy who believed what he saw would lead his family straight into hunger. And hunger in this place was not a lesson written in red ink on a page. At 40 degrees below zero, a mistake is not punished with a bad grade. It is punished with an empty lamp, a cold house, and children who do not eat. So the boy watched, and he waited, and he learned how little he actually understood. But he was never learning alone. On every hunt, there was one member of the party who carried a sense no human being would ever possess, and it did not walk on two legs. And there was something else the elders believed, something stranger still, that every child is born missing one thing, a thing no father can teach with words, a thing only the ice itself can forge. The boy's first lesson was never how to throw a harpoon, it was how to see, and so far he could see nothing at all. Long before the boy was trusted with a hunt, he was made to learn the seal the way other children learn the alphabet, not as an animal, but as everything his family owned. Its meat was life, the difference between a winter survived and a winter that ended in silence. Its fat was light and heat, melted down for the lamp that held back 4 months of darkness. Its skin became karmic, the boots on his own feet, and the tualik, the sealed jacket that let a man survive the water that would otherwise kill him in minutes. Its bones became tools, its sinew became the thread that held all of it together. And the boy was taught to name each part before he was ever allowed to touch the knife, because a single wrong cut could ruin a hide large enough for a boot, and a ruined boot at 40 below is not a small thing. A ruined boot is a dead foot. But the animal that gave all of this was never a gift, lying still, waiting to be taken. The seal feels vibration through the ice itself. Its whiskers can read the trace of a current, a single fish left behind 30 seconds earlier. And the elders warned the boy of something that unsettled him most of all. The seal remembers. A breathing hole where a human once appeared would be abandoned for days. So a hunter did not only have to hide his sound, he had to hide his history, every trace that he had ever been there. And slowly, the boy understood the first real truth of his life. He was not going out to hunt an animal. He was stepping into a contest of memory against a creature far smarter than he had ever imagined. And this brings us to the one member of the hunting party who carried a sense no human being would ever have. It did not walk on two legs. It was the kimiku, the dog. Where a boy's eyes saw only an unbroken field of white, the dog's nose found what was hidden beneath it. It could smell an agloo, a seal's breathing hole, buried under a full meter of packed snow, and stopped dead above a doorway to the sea that no human would ever have noticed. And this was the lesson the boy found hardest to swallow, harder than the cold, harder than the waiting. Sometimes the dog understood the ice better than he did, because the kimiku was never a tool. It slept pressed against the family to share its warmth through the night. It ate from the same catch it helped to find, and a good team of dogs was worth more than anything a man could own. To trust the dog was a kind of humility,
The user prompt
and humility was
explicitly
something the boy
requests
had to
no
learn
voices,
the way he
no
learned
dialogue,
everything
no
else
music.
out here. Slowly, and by being wrong, so he began to read the ice alongside the animal. A low dome swelling from the snow was an agloo. A patch of ice gone darker meant open water working beneath it. A thin crack running toward the horizon marked a road the seals traveled below. He checked what his eyes believed against what the dog's nose already knew, and he learned to move the way survival demanded, softly, because sound travels through ice more than 4 times faster than through air. On boots of soft skin with no hard sole, stepping only when the wind was strong enough to cover him. But everything he was learning belonged to the dark hunt of winter, at There was another kind of hunt he had not yet faced. One that happened in broad daylight, out in the open, where the seal could look straight back at him. And that would be the final test. Then the sun came back. After months of darkness, the light returned to the ice, and with it the seals changed their habits. On bright spring days, they hauled themselves up out of the water and lay stretched beside their holes, basking in the warmth, no longer hidden beneath 2 meters of ice. And you might think this made them easy. It made them the hardest quarry of all, because a basking seal never truly sleeps. Every few seconds it lifts its head and sweeps its eyes across the ice, and on that flat and endless white there is nowhere for a man to hide. So the hunter did the only thing that could work. He stopped being a man and became a seal. He lay flat on his belly against the ice and crept forward only in the seconds the animal's head was down. The instant it lifted, he froze utterly, a shape indistinguishable from the ice itself. He scratched his fingernails against the surface to mimic the sound of a seal's flippers. Some hunters pushed a small white screen ahead of them on a frame, hiding behind it, closing the distance inch by inch across an hour or more. But the true secret was stranger than any of this. He breathed with the seal. When the animal dozed, it breathed in a slow and even rhythm, and the hunter timed every movement to that rhythm, so that even as he moved, he looked like nothing more than the creature itself dreaming. He was not stalking the seal. He had become one, and only when he was close enough to reach it did the strike finally come, the ivory-tipped anak driving down, its head detaching and turning sideways beneath the hide, locked in place by geometry rather than by any barb. The boy, now grown, made his first successful crawl that spring. And lying there on the ice beside the animal, he understood something that changed him. For all these years he had believed he was learning to deceive the seal. The truth was the opposite. He had been learning to let go of himself completely, enough to become something else. And when it was done, nothing was wasted. The meat was life. The fat became light. The skin became warmth on the body and boots on cold feet. The bones became tools. The sinew became thread. And whatever remained went back to the dogs and back to the sea. But a young hunter's very first catch was never his to keep. It was carried back and divided among the whole camp, and people remembered a boy's first seal for the rest of his life, because it marked the day he stopped being only a mouth to feed and became one of the ones who feeds. And this is where we return to that strange belief the elders held, the thing a child is born without. They called it Isuma. It means reason, judgment, the ability to think clearly and to hold yourself still against your own impulses. A child, they believed, has no Isuma yet. It cannot be handed over in words, cannot be taught in a single season. It grows only through failure, through hunger, through patience stretched past the point where a boy wants to give up. And so the seal hunt was never only about food. It was the machine a society used to grow Isuma inside a human being. Which means this was never really a story about hunting. It was never even a story about the seal. It was a story about how a people turned a child into a person. The strongest did not survive the Arctic, neither did the fastest. The ones who survived were the ones who had failed long enough to finally learn how to see. And the boy who once looked out at the ice and saw nothing at all, now stood upon it with his first catch at his feet, and for the very first time he truly saw the world around him. We measure growing up in years. Perhaps